I do. We're getting close, but I'll tell you, I'm going to now say the chief kindly agreed that he'll stay on after our session ends to follow up with some questions that we'll ask. It's not going to be never ending. We could keep him here all day, I'm quite sure. I do want to address an issue that has come up. It came up at the special city council meeting talking about the Nordstrom's issue. And that, in fact, is what a police agency needs to provide when it takes a case, when it books somebody into, say, Martinez, what the district attorney is looking at, because as we all know, and I know from my experience in the district attorney's office, there are stumbles where somebody gets released and they shouldn't have been, or an 849B, whatever. So if you could just, I think at our special city council meeting, there was a discussion about that it's the police agency's obligation to provide the background on an individual. In other words, if they're on parole or probation or something, and provide that to the sheriff's office when they book them in. So just give us the, I want to call it the 2-minute version of what you do when you arrest somebody and how mistakes happen.
Sure. So the first part of the arrest is we need probable cause to make an arrest, which is above reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion would allow you to stop someone and investigate something. Probable cause is, a preponderance of things that would allow you to make that arrest, book them into jail, and present that case to the district attorney for filing. During that arrest, we always give the name to dispatch, and dispatch by routine would check that person in the national database to see if they had any warrants, outstanding warrants. Usually if they're on probation, they'll be in the system, the local system, or parole. But it's not a foolproof system, and sometimes you get a delayed hit, or the computer system, if they give us a fake name, maybe it didn't come up. If in the case of what happened with Cocoa County, where the gentleman was released when there was a warrant in the system, they added an extra letter to the subject's last name, and the system didn't do something known as soundexing, where the computer would recognize that it's a like name, maybe one letter off, and give possible matches. Hey, these are some possible matches. This person has a warrant. So it's not a foolproof system. Mistakes happen, not very often, but they do happen. But it is the agency who is arresting and booking. It's that comm center, the communication center, that would run the name for warrants. So if the person was on probation, and let's say the probation was very similar to this type of crime we just arrested them for, we could call that person's probation officer and ask them to violate their probation. The same thing with parole. If somebody's on parole, we would have to call CDC, the Department of Corrections, and ask for the parole agent to place something known as a 3056 hold, 3056 of the penal code, which is a parole hold. So that has to go into the system, and then they not only are they booked on these fresh charges, but then there would be a parole hold, which would affect their ability to bail out. But we've requested parole holds. We just tried one last week on a case, and CDC, the parole agent, denied the parole hold. So they also use discretion and weigh the facts and circumstances. They have a boss too. They have parameters they have to operate within. So it's an imperfect system. Yes, there's certainly fallout from some of the prison reform and the property crime reform that occurred in California. I don't think that's the only reason that we're seeing some of the crime that we are. And it's not just specific to the Bay Area. Usually crime follows national trends. So, this will, in 10 years, I'm sure there'll be a new trend, or it'll change a little bit, but it's just, it's a complicated system for sure.
I want to thank you, Chief. We're right at the end now. I do want to say that we're going to go over a little bit, but for those people who have hard stops at 10, I'm going to kick it back to Ron, but I do want you to make this promise. We want to have this conversation again. I want to say maybe 6 months down the road. Let's do it again and kind of see where things stand with the Walnut Creek Police Department. I'm sure people are going to be very interested in as we progress and into your into your tenure as the chief of the Walnut Creek Police Department. So Ron, back to you.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Matt, for a really great forum this morning. Before I pass it over to Bob, I just want to thank the community. One of the great things about one of the good things coming out of the pandemic is that community engagement with civic affairs has really significantly deepened and grown. We're going to be looking at new ways to enhance this program early in 2022, but we want to thank the community on behalf of the Chamber for your support during 2021. And Bob, can you close us with just a few thoughts and some announcements? Please do that.
Yeah, thank you, Ron and Matt. We really appreciate you coming on during your Aloha time and facilitating and moderating this great session. Thank you, Chief Knox, for your participation. I just want to mention one thing that we've been working on. The Civic Affairs has been a tremendous convening opportunity to bring the community together. You know, in today's world, we couldn't fit 40 people around a conference table and have an honest discussion like we are today. And so Zoom has provided us some avenue for that. Our chair-elect Ed Del Beccaro, who's been leading our economic development working group, is working on a session for the January Civic Affairs. We're meeting with the steering committee a little later this week. The concept will be, what does Walnut Creek need to do to be an innovative city, entrepreneurship city, and grow? And we're bringing some outside experts to the forefront in January. We'll make an announcement after our steering committee meets. But I want to thank Ed for doing that. Folks that are in the economic development space that understand how to attract companies, how to be more innovative and filling space are going to be part of that discussion. And so I just want to make that announcement and call your attention to that for next time. Other than that, Ron and Matt, that concludes my portion of the agenda.